Support for Radio Friends comes from La Brunerie Financial, where they work to ensure a lifetime of financial security for people from all walks of life, from investment services to retirement plans. If you're looking for a trustworthy company that has the experience and knowledge to put your interests first, contact La Brunerie Financial, a community-based investment counseling firm since 1966. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Monday, October the 26th. As always, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. And I've got two really nice people with us today. We've got Dr. Philip Batson and Dr. Elizabeth Abe from Columbia Healthy Smiles. Pleasure to have both of you here. And they are so gentle when they're in your mouth working on cavities. No pain whatsoever. That's a big thing that a lot of people are concerned about, is pain. But we want to talk about good dental hygiene, and we want to talk about cavities. That's the one thing, especially with kids, I guess, you're concerned about cavities. What is the main cause of cavities with our teeth?
Well, it boils down to a few factors. The bacteria in your mouth contributes to it, along with diet, so frequent snacking, the type of snacks you're eating, the acidity in your diet, and a lot of it does fall back onto home care or your own oral hygiene. And so those are all contributing factors to, what could cause a cavity.
So when you say your own home care or your own oral hygiene, it is important to brush after every meal, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you, Dr. Abe.
Okay.
Because we were talking about this before. If you eat a lot of candy, and you eat candy all the time, it's not good for you because you're going to get fat. But if you eat candy, a lot of it, and you brush after you eat that candy, is that okay? Is that going to prevent the cavities, even if you eat a lot of sweets?
It will definitely lower your risk of getting cavities. So as we come towards the Halloween, it's often best to eat it all at once and then brush your teeth instead of snacking throughout the day.
Okay. And we're not advocating eating a lot of candy. But if you do, it's important to brush. Now, you talk about brushing. What is the difference between using the manual toothbrush where we go up and down or an electric toothbrush? What's better?
Well, so a lot of the research and studies will show that you can get as good of cleaning with a manual as an electric, but what the electrics, where they come in and I think have some advantages potentially over the manuals, are that you get more movement on the brush head, so you can get more strokes per minute than you can if you're using a manual. Mm-hmm. And then you can also, they have built-in timers, they have built-in pressure sensors, so you don't push too hard. You're brushing for 2 minutes, because the recommendation is to brush for 2 minutes each time, twice per day, at a minimum. And so to have that built into the technology and into the toothbrush is helpful, and to get the additional brush strokes per minute can help some people if they're maybe not brushing with the proper technique, because if you're using a manual, having the really proper technique is the only way you're going to get as clean as with the electric.
Now, when I was a kid, and I'm sure you don't remember this because I'm much older than you are, but I remember when I was a kid and I brushed my teeth, I used to brush sideways like that. And then they started educating all of us that no, you don't brush sideways, you got to brush up and down. Do you remember when people used to brush sideways with a manual?
Yeah, and we can see a lot of that with scrub brushing. We call it, people will get really aggressive and they think the harder they scrub, the better the clean it is.
And that's not good, is it?
No, it can be detrimental to your gums. So we really advocate, if they're using a manual, to take the bristles and the toothbrush head at a 45-degree angle to your gums and do soft circular motions.
Okay. If a cavity is found, is the only option to taking care of that cavity filling it, or is there any way around it? I guess that's kind of a silly question.
No, not at all. No, there's lots of options with
there
teeth.
Are?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
So essentially, a cavity would be bacteria that softens your tooth. So at that point, yes, the option is to remove it. What type, how we restore it kind of depends. Sometimes it's a filling, sometimes it would be a crown. But that is the only way at this point that we can remove it, decay.
Removing that,
Yes.
or removing the tooth, but you don't want to remove the tooth
Right.
unless you absolutely have to, right?
Yes.
Now, if you can fill a tooth, and that because it's got a cavity, how long will that filling naturally last? Is it going to be for a lifetime, or can the filling fall out after a certain number of years?
It can fall out after a certain number of years or can break down, and that's just because, while we want everything to last a lifetime and last as long as possible, a lot of it goes back to the oral hygiene of the mouth that the filling is in, and also, just the everybody's environment in their mouth is so different, and it's a harsh environment. It's constantly with bacteria, it's constantly in saliva, it's constantly being chewed with, eaten with. There's all kinds of abrasive things going on all the time. And so we want restorations for everybody to last as long as possible, but usually there is replacement at some point in the life of a filling. Just depending on how long. That's kind of a case by case, patient by patient thing.
Right. And I remember when I had my first filling, it used to be a silver filling, wasn't it? It's silver color. Now when you have a filling, you match it up to the actual color of the tooth, correct?
Yeah.
And if you put in a crown, we're going to talk about crowns more in detail the next time. But how do you decide when you actually need a crown?
So different factors there. A lot of times it's if a filling is too big, the tooth structure is not, most of it is decay, or there are fractures within the tooth and it's not able to hold a filling, then that's often when we recommend a crown.
Yeah, and a crown basically is made to look just like the original tooth.
Yeah, they're a ceramic, usually made out of a ceramic material. People might remember the gold crowns, that some people that are still being made, but a lot of them now are more the tooth-colored ceramics, and they are there, like Dr. Abe said, to when there's not enough tooth structure to support a filling, and because the teeth that take a lot of chewing force and pressure, the crown acts as that structural stability for the tooth.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about that in detail next time you're on, because you guys are making your own crowns now. What is it, aren't you?
Yep.
You're starting to do that.
We brought that technology into the office.
Okay. So again, when you talk about good dental hygiene, the important thing to remember is brush after every meal, 3 times a day if you can.
Yeah.
If you can't brush at lunchtime because you're working, 2 times a day, right?
Yeah.
Floss and water pick, and be diligent about it.
Absolutely.
And smile. If you want more information, Columbia Healthy Smiles, what's your phone number there?
We are at 573-875-7071.
Okay. And I thank you both for coming by. Are you getting used to this cold weather, Dr. Abe?
Well, we've been having a good fall. So.
All right. Thank you so much for coming by. If there's something you'd like to hear or see, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Have yourself a nice morning, and wear that mask when you go out. Bye-bye.